Welcome to the Tip Channel. That is perfection.
Hello and welcome back to the Tip Channel. Today we are standing in an attic bedroom that I did in my home 4 or 5 years ago. It was during the pandemic. Really kept my mind occupied, and it turned out to be a great room. What makes it great? Well, the first thing is it has absolutely no windows, no skylights. So it doesn't matter whether you come up here at 12 o'clock midnight or high noon. You shut the door and turn off the lights. All you have is a soft ambiance from the alarm clock, or if it's raining outside, a nice little trickle of rain on the roof. So I find it especially helpful now that I'm getting older. I find myself waking up in the middle of the night and being wide awake, and then during the afternoon, all of a sudden I want to take a grandpappy nap. Well, it's the perfect room to take a grandpappy nap. So, but what makes this room totally awesome? What makes it awesome is what I'm standing next to, a mini split. It doesn't matter what the rest of the house is in regards to temperature or cold. Basically, you can maintain whatever temperature you like sleeping in. So if you like to sleep buck naked at 70 degrees, set it at 70, and it doesn't matter whether it's winter or summertime, it's going to maintain that temperature. You like to sleep in 65 degrees underneath of the cover so it feels like wintertime. Again, set it at whatever temperature you feel comfortable with. But we try to do maintenance on this every couple of months. We'll pull the filters out, we'll vacuum it off, and put them back in again. Now we're at that 4 or 5 year mark, and I'm noticing a little bit of a chemical smell, if you will. And some people refer to that as a dirty sock. Don't know, I've never actually inhaled a dirty sock. But anyways, I think it's time for what's referred to as a deep cleaning. Now, what does a deep cleaning mean? Well, stick around, and we're going to show you the whole process. To get this process started, very first thing we need to do is to disconnect the electrical to this. Now, if your unit was installed correctly, what you're going to find is a little disconnect box right out next to your outside unit. All the wiring comes from your outside unit up to the head unit. So once you disconnect that, your head unit is going to be disconnected as well. Now you may find a little pull out, you might find a little breaker, but that'll shut the power off to this unit. Now, to do this, we're going to need a few different things. The first one is a thing that I bought off of Amazon, and it is what's referred to as 180 degrees, meaning it goes completely around the unit, trying to keep control of all of the foaming product and water we're going to spray on this unit so that we don't get a mess here in the bedroom. So we needed that, and then I bought a pack of 3 cans of a foaming cleaner. So we need that, and then the last thing is going to be a garden sprayer in order to rinse this off. So this particular unit is called a Cinvel, so yours may come apart a little different than what you're seeing here. But this will give you a general idea of what needs to happen in order to do the deep cleaning. With the unit disconnected, the very first thing that we need to do is to remove the cover around the mini split. So first of all, lift up the cover where you normally access the filters and go ahead and take the 2 filters out. Then you're going to find a little access cover where the electric from the front of the unit plugs into the unit. Remove that access cover. There's going to be a little jack underneath of there, and normally there's a little tab you press down on and that'll pull right apart. After you've got that apart, go ahead and remove the front door. Then you're going to find with our unit 4 screws here at the bottom that we need to remove. So go ahead and remove those. And boom, with the magic of television, the cover comes off. Just kidding. If you're having a difficult time figuring out how the cover comes off, look at your manual. Siri, and if that fails, how to remove the front cover from a Cinvel mini split unit. Anyway, in our case, what we found was 2 plastic tabs next to the bottom. We lifted up on those, and there was 2 screws in behind of that. Take those 2 screws out. Then take the bottom of the unit, pull out and push up. You're going to find that there's going to be some little tabs up next to the top. It might take a little bit of upward pressure, and pop that off, and then your cover's off. Now that the cover's off, let's take a little closer look at what we have. Now we can see we've got a lot of dust inside of the coils, but I think we found our culprit. If you'll notice down next to the bottom here, it looks to be what looks like some mold spores. Now, as you know, anytime you have dampness, you can have some mold. So I think that might be our issue for our smell, but we're going to go ahead and get this deep cleaning started now. So what we want to do is that the electrical area, we're going to go ahead and plastic it off just to make sure we don't get any water inside of that. Also, I have a set of switches right below my mini split. I'm going to go ahead and tape that off. And then to protect the hardwood floor, they say nothing's going to get past this because it all goes down into a 5-gallon bucket, but I'm going to go ahead and lay down a plastic tarp. I'm going to go ahead and lay a cloth tarp on top of that and then have a couple of towels ready just in case. So go ahead and get this started. Now, first of all, I'm going to take the vacuum and suck off any loose amount of fuzz and dirt and what have you that I can get with the vacuum. Now, do be a little careful. Your evaporator coil might be a little wet. As you know, water and electricity doesn't mix, so be a little careful. Now, if you chose to purchase the cover unit that I did from Amazon, it's going to be available in 2 sizes, so make sure to measure your unit first. Next up, there's going to be 2 white plastic pieces that slip in behind of the unit, and that holds it into place. Now, some units will come with a curtain, some will not. There's a little plastic curtain that gets applied to the front, and then there's a couple small ones that get applied to the rear. Now, at this point, go ahead and take your foam, shoot all your evaporator coils, shoot that little area down in there where we found the mold spores, and we're going to let that set for 5 or 10 minutes. Now, the instructions on the can says, don't worry about cleaning that off with water, the evaporator coils, which is your inside unit. No, I'm going to go ahead and clean it with some water. Instructions on the can says that the evaporator, the moisture from it, will wash off the chemical. The unit here did a very good job so far of containing everything, and my wife will tell you I am a big slob, so if it's possible to make a mess, it's going to happen. Anyways, at this point, we're letting this soak for about 5 to 10 minutes. Once it's done its job, I am going to go ahead and take a garden sprayer and hose this off. Again, being as careful as I can not to make a major mess and get in trouble with the wife. Now, we just completed our second treatment, and I do have to say I feel real comfortable at how this foaming action job did on this unit. You can see down in the bucket here how much crud we actually pulled out of the inside of there. So I think this is going to run a lot more efficiently and a lot more cleanly. And most of all, I think we're going to get rid of the odor that we had. The air conditioning cover that I purchased, I think, did a great job of containing all of the water that we used in order to clean the unit. I'm going to let this drip dry for 10 or 15 minutes, and I'm going to go ahead and put the cover back on. Now, naturally, this unit produces water anyway, so I think most of the components are sealed, but just to be on the safe side, I'll let it set for a couple hours before I turn it back on. So next step is we need to do the outside unit. All right, so here we are at the outside unit. Now, the rear of this unit where the coils are is readily accessible, so I'll be able to get to it to use the foam very, very easily. But I went ahead and I took the top of the unit off. The reason being is I have my compressor set up with about 50 psi. And I want to go from the inside and blow some of the stuff out before I actually start the foaming action. Now, just so you know, I used just about a can on the inside, giving it 2 treatments. So I still got 2 in a part of a can left.
plenty of foam. But I want to go ahead and blow out the crap first. So I want to do that from the inside. I don't want to do it from the outside because then I'm blowing it into the coils. I want to blow it out. We've applied all of our foam at this point from the exterior, and it's been now about 10 minutes, so we're going to go ahead and get it sprayed off. Now, we could use a garden hose at this point. If you do, tone it down a little bit. I'm going to go ahead and use the garden sprayer, and again, I'm going to do it from the inside. Now, if you're going to do that, be very, very careful. Yeah, the fins are kind of sharp, so keep your hands away from the fins. Anyways, we'll go ahead and get this sprayed up. We're going to go ahead and clean the exterior of it off. I know what you're thinking. This guy's a freak. He pulled the top of it off, gone from the inside, yada, yada, yada. Hey, it's the Tip channel. It would not be perfection if we did not do it as good as possible. Ooh, that smell. Can't you smell that smell? Ooh, that smell. The smell of clean is now around you. What? I always said if you ain't having fun, you shouldn't be doing it. Anyway, everything's back together and she is sparkling. I hope that you found this informative, and if you did, please just take a second to like and subscribe. It really does help our channel. Thanks much for watching, and have a great day.